Inspiration. What is it? Who inspired me? And where can we find it? Welcome to Remind Us. My name is Aiden, and today we are talking about inspiration. So, I made a little list here of everything that inspired me at a young age and later on in my adult life. And I split it up into several categories. The first category, strangely enough, is TV series. Now, there is only two that really stood out for me, and those were the X Files, which was a show that aired in the 90s, I believe. Mulder and Scully, and the X Files was my first introduction to an open mind somehow, somewhat. I don't know if you're familiar with the show, but this also involves some dark government things and UFOs and aliens. And this is a scientist and a total free mind. I'm obviously talking about Mulder and Scully that are both investigating the same thing. And I observed that although they both saw the exact same things, they both had a completely different reasoning behind what they just saw. Mulder took everything for granted. Whatever he saw, he just followed his gut. Scully, she had to measure and double check everything, only to rationalize that it was imaginary, non existent, and whatnot. Although she saw things with her own eyes. So, yes, the X Files were my big inspiration on don't take nothing for granted. Don't just assume that you know when we really never know anything for sure. So, yes, the X Files, huge influence. The second one is a little more humoristic, but it was still an inspiration to me. I'm talking about The Simpsons. First of all, unintentionally, I picked up the language English from just watching The Simpsons in Belgium, where I grew up. But what I also picked up, and this is mostly Homer all by himself right here, is his carelessness in a positive way. His careless in his idea of living free mindlessly. Yes, of course, in The Simpsons they pull it out of into the realm of stupidity, but just something about the way Homer was always happy no matter what happened. He was always himself. He was such a real character. I know he's a cartoon, but you know what I mean? You could relate to him so well. It's from Homer where I found the inspiration that no matter how silly, enjoy what you're doing. No matter how crazy, enjoy what you're doing. Just try not to hurt other people in the process. I know Homer always bashed on his neighbor Ned Flanders, things like that. You know what I mean? Overall, he was just a very he did whatever came up in his head without a second thought, and he went out and enjoyed it or whatever. So yes, the X Files and Homer, or excuse me, the X Files and the Simpsons are two TV shows that started my life at a young age to just observe from these characters on the TV screen that nothing is what it seems. There is always room for improvement. There is always room for more craziness, more laughter, more seriousness. And both are important. There is a time to be serious. There is a time to just be silly and funny. And, if we fall on our face, haha, have a good laugh and, move on. Simple as that. The next one isn't really a TV show. It was the Coast to Coast show with George Norrie. I enjoyed that a lot too. And how was that an inspiration for me? I don't know. I think it was just everything that they talked about. It just made me feel like I know so little. And it is always good to listen to the viewpoints of other people. I don't have to accept those viewpoints as my own, but whatever feels of value to me, I can pick it up and do something with it for myself. And I don't think that the Coast to Coast show is still around. And if it is, I don't think it is by George Norrie any longer. It's somebody else. I haven't listened in years. I'm not going to lie. Just saying, when I was younger, it was a huge influence to me. The Coast to Coast show was always on late at night, like midnight, I believe, for several hours, and that's something I would listen to after work or while I was at work. Because again, I drive a UPS truck, and often I am not home until, excuse me, not home until 2 o'clock at night in the morning. So yes, so those are TV shows, radio shows. I will have a whole section on actual YouTube channels that are a big inspiration to me as well. But for now, I kind of want to go through some books I have read and listened to many audiobooks. I actually did the math at some point. I have between 30 and 40,000 hours of listening time to audiobooks, which has expanded my mind to that thing all the spiritual teachers are trying to explain to us to to free ourselves from all these karmic wheels, all these guilds, all these sins. We can free ourselves, and most of us are all looking for that, to be free. And I'm not saying if you're not in jail you are free. No, we have created a prison in our mind that is invisible. You can see it, you cannot smell it, but you are living it every day and you are not even aware of it. So, um, yes, what inspired me on book material? I wrote down some book titles here that came to me immediately, but like I said, 30,000 hours of books. Good God, I must have heard probably about 1,000 books by now, if not more. But anyway, here goes. Carlos Castaneda, Journey to Islam. Here is this young person that bumps into a shamanic Spanish teacher and learns all about the way of the native Indian and the spirit world. And it's comical how, because the boy has no patience, Carlos Castaneda has no patience, and Don Juan, the shamanic teacher that's in the book with him, is a totally different character. He is careless. He is free. Again, this free sense of living is as something somewhere inspired me to look for it for myself. So yes, this inner search for freedom, it started with Carlos Castaneda's Journey to Islam. I'd recommend that you read it. Again, everybody has their different interests. You're gonna notice that none of these books are fictional. They are all more or less some sort of autobiography format or very realistic, and that's what I appreciated most about them. Like Disney stories and fantasy stories and sci-fi stories. Are they interesting? Yes, but I don't feel a real value in that material. Like I don't feel like I can go sit down somewhere quiet and reminisce what I saw in that movie or whatever, or material that I walk away like, yeah, I can make my life better if I do what I just saw in this movie a little bit. All these happy ever after movies just don't leave room for my imagination, essentially. I'm also the weirdo that likes open-ended movies where you can make up your own mind on what happens. I can't think of an example this second right now, but you know what I mean. Not all movies are wrapped with a bow tie at the end, like boom, everybody is happy and all the problems are solved. Well, no, some movies are not like that, and I appreciate those. So, let's say Carlos Castaneda. Okay, the other one is Yogananda, Autobiography of a Yogi. Incredibly spiritual book, and yet it is still relatable to on a human level. Yes, it is highly spiritual, but this is worth reading because Yogananda is also this young boy, and of course this whole story plays in India and America. Yogananda eventually moved to America to bring yoga to the West and the Indian teachings. But he's this young boy who bumps into yogic masters, and they all tell him he was somebody else in his previous incarnations, and he is supposed to be here now for a very specific purpose. So you go on a journey with Yogananda essentially, where he picks up all his good qualities again and learn about the wonders that humans are capable of if only we are willing to sit alone in peace and silence for a moment and learn the world for what it is, not what the TV is dictating it to us. Another book, Raw, The Law of One. This is, I believe, 7 volumes, if I'm not mistaken. I heard that in audio format twice. And yeah, you're going to be listening for a few weeks, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, still, every chapter begins with the exact same phrase: I am Ra. I greet you in the light and in the love of the one infinite creator. We communicate now. And from then on, the chapter begins. If you're not willing to hear channeled material, this is probably not for you. But as I said in my previous video, we are all here purely for life experiences. We are not here to amass wealth. We are not here to conquer the world. No, we are here for life experiences. And when our body expires, that is all we take home, our life experiences. Ra, the Law of One, explains over so many little stories what that one is. What is this Law of One? They explain what life is here on Earth. Ra is, if that sounds familiar, as an Egyptian god, you are kind of right. Ra does present himself as something similar from that era, but he makes it clear he is not one entity, he is a collective. If you are a person that listens to a lot of channeled material, you will realize that very often you are not hearing one channel's voice. I mean, yes, you hear the person channeling, but I mean the person where they get the information from. I'm sorry, I'm going to call it a person for now. I know it's an energy in a different dimension. Bear with me. Um, you are rarely receiving the information from one entity, individual, one energy. It is usually a collective, and this collective is one big energy source, one intelligence, because we humans, we limit ourselves to what's in our head. Once we are free from our body, our source of knowledge is essentially infinite. We can see everything, we can know everything, but how studied are you to be able to see it, to be able to know it? You see, we have to pick up a hammer and a screwdriver to know how to work with it. On the other side, it is nothing like that at all. All the information is, it's almost like data in a cloud. And if you need to know something, poof, the data just comes to you. It's a lot like Neo in the Matrix. I know I know Jinjitsu or Kung Fu. Show me. Remember that, Morpheus? Boom, and they go into simulation and they do Kung Fu together essentially. But yes, Ra, the Law of One. That's an extremely long, several volumes book. But if you read that just once, you're gonna know you are starting to change your views on life. You are gonna get out of this limited box you have created. My previous video, remember when I said we all create this emotional security for ourselves? That book helped me see that this sense of security is totally unnecessary. It is not helping you at all. If anything, it is limiting you from experiencing and living life. And this book had a huge impact on me. I'm finally realizing that. Another one is Set Speaks. This book is also channeled, and this one is actually old. And if I'm not mistaken, Raw, the Law of One, they are not from the millennial era. They are from before that. They are from Set Speaks. Oh my god, I want to almost say the 70s, like 1970. It's fairly old, but although it is still written in somewhat of an older style of speaking, the wisdom in the material is still as relevant today as it was when these books were channeled. Another book that I read is Graceful Exits: How Graceful Beings Die. Yes, you heard that right. How grateful beings die, like end of life, dead. I don't know why that book spoke to me, but I have always had this curiosity towards the end of life. What is that really? Like, we keep saying life ends essentially when we die. I no longer buy that theory. To me, life doesn't begin and life doesn't end. It is a continuation. The vehicle you're occupying, yes, it will change throughout your quote unquote life. If you're watching this video, you are now in a human body, but your soul has lived before and has lived and will live after your human body expires. You may come back in a new human body, a rebirth, but the essence of what is you isn't, you cannot destroy it, you cannot get rid of it. So I also read a lot of material that deals with death. I wanted to understand death better, and although I no longer really see death as a thing, I see it as one more experience that is on my to-do list near the end of my life. I no longer live in fear of dying, like, oh my God, there's so many things I want to experience. Or the opposite, I don't want to die because the end of life is there. No. I know that sounds weird if you don't believe in reincarnation, if you don't believe in soul, in something that survives physical death. If you don't believe in that, is very difficult to explain that to you. And believe me, I value everybody's beliefs. If you're happy with what you believe, great. I value that. This is what I believe. I believe life doesn't begin or end at birth and death, what we call birth and death. I think it's a continuation. You are just switching the vehicle that you're operating, human body in this moment of time. So that was the book Graceful Exits, How Great Beings Die. And I cannot remember who the author was of that. I did notice that most of these, they're very short stories. I mean, some of them are literally a few lines long, some of them 2 pages, but I noticed a lot of it was from the East, like India. They look very different on death than we in the East do. Excuse me, we in the West do. We're in the West, America. Got it. They look very different at death, and it fascinated me. They, have you ever noticed in the West what is the emotional state of a funeral usually, or a loved one dying? Everybody is very sad, everybody is very emotional, everybody feels a sense of loss, like we lost someone, something important. In the East it is almost the opposite. They are celebrating the life of that person, you know, like a funeral to us is kind of similar. We are celebrating the life, I mean, yeah, we are celebrating the life of the person we lost, but the emotion in that moment is so, there's this weird hopelessness feeling. I cannot describe it. I've gone through several funerals in my life. It's, I never understood why everybody wears black. I mean, I'm sure that's something that came from religion. I am happy in white clothing, and I'm sorry, I will even go to a funeral in white. And lo and behold, I find out here that is how they do it in India. People wear colorful things. They are having a happy atmosphere. Like, they accept the expiration of a human body as a normal part of life. So to them, death is part of life. We're here in the West, to us, death is part of the end, where everything ends. Very strange. But you see, it inspired me to live like you're never going to die, because there is no death. We have created that through religion, to observation, like boom, there is a dead deer at the end at the side of the road, like we assume that there is an ending there. It's very weird to accept. I mean, it's not weird for me anymore, but I'm just saying, if you don't believe in that, it's strange to accept that there is no such thing as an energy expiration date. You continuously evolve, whether you're in a human body or not. That's all I can say about it. And maybe I'll make videos about incarnation in the past, in the future. We'll see where this channel goes. This is new for me too, so I'm learning as I go. Another one, The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. That was a fantastic book to me, and it's not even a big book. What I loved about it, it is written in very simple language. It is almost like he put the things that the religions were trying to teach us on how to be free and how to live a full good life. I'm sorry, I don't think I should have brought religion in there because this book has nothing to do with religion, but it teaches you in very plain and simple language all the mistakes that we make. And a lot of it I am actually making videos about. Again, this is about inspirations. All of this stuff inspired me. And by age 25, I had gathered all this material and listened to it. And I had to come out of it as me. I was full of inspirations from other people. And like I said in a previous video, do not look up to anybody. Do not look down on anybody. Why do I say that again? Inspirations are good, but don't start looking up to these people. Pick what works for you that you saw from an inspiration and integrate that in yourself and do something amazing with it. Do something great with it, something artistic. Learn to express yourself better, find better self confidence. Anything that inspires you is good, is beneficial. You're not necessarily copying a person unless that's exactly what you're doing. You're doing everything point by point the way other people do it. Try not to. Again, you need to find your own way of life. What is ideal for you? What works best? What is consistent? Find that. That is what inspiration is. Um, Another book is Om Seti's Egypt. Again, do not recall the author. Maybe I should have done a little more research before starting this video, but Seti's Egypt is a young girl in England, I believe during World War One or Two, so 1920s, 1940s, and she falls down the steps and dies. She was dead for sure. A physician looked at her, it was over. But this body got up again. It wasn't possessed or nothing, but an other soul had inhabited that body. This other soul was Om Seti. And what is so amazing about this book is it is not about a haunting, not about a, like I said, not about a, oh, what was the word I just used? A possession. This was generally the girl died, her soul left that body, but an other soul came back into it because that body wasn't ready for expiration yet. It was still a usable body. Om Seti, a soul that had lived during the Pharaoh times in Egypt, reoccupied this body. I shouldn't say reoccupied, just occupied this body and started living as the person that was known as Om Seti, thousands of years ago. And here's the fascinating part. What I love about this book, as much as it sounds as it's a book about reincarnation, it was also the most amazing love story that I have read. And this is not a romantic novel for as far as I remember, as I recall it. Om Seti is in England during the war. She's young, she's a child, but the soul in this body still knew Egyptian hieroglyphs. She actually, it appears that she had just died in Egypt and instantly reincarnated. And in her mind, Egypt still existed in its full glory, the way it was thousands of years ago. The pyramids being in full shine with the golden cap on the pyramid and everything. She knew where all the temples were. And Om Seti was one of the temple priestesses, I believe, or something like that. Anyway, this book inspired me that love transcends space, time, and even location. Well, I mean, I guess location falls under space, but I have had an experience in my own life that transcended time and space. I have experienced love here with a person. We live 5,000 miles apart, but we are so tuned towards each other that we can feel each other. I'm not even talking about we're FaceTiming each other or nothing. No, there is zero communication going on in the physical world. Like, we're not calling on the phone, we're not texting, no video chat, no nothing. When she is wherever she is and she is having a sad day, I will get an inner sad feeling, and I know I am not feeling sad. I know this person is feeling sad. It is like I cannot explain it. It's a barcode in my body, and my body recognizes that barcode and reads the feelings on this barcode. So the barcode belongs to the other person. When that feeling comes to me, my my heart center essentially reads that barcode and recognizes, okay, that's that person, and the link is formed instantly across time and space, where we can inhabit each other's body to some extent. And yes, I am not making this up. There has been times where I could see the world through her eyes as if I was the soul in her body. She has had similar experiences with me. She could smell what the world around me smelled like. I happened to be in a beautiful garden, and some other time, this is a weird example, but I was in a truck stop. I went to the men's room, and we happened to be on the phone with each other, and she's like, "My God, I smell urinals, like those little smelly things that they throw in the urinals everywhere, that for hygiene and for good smell, I guess." She could smell that from my body. Mind you, she's 5,000 miles away. So we had a very, very intense love relation, and yet we only met for 1 week. We lived so far apart, and all these, there was too much different in our life that we couldn't have an actual life together. But the love was the most amazing thing I've ever experienced. And this book, Cities, Egypt, reminded me of it so hard. And I don't think many people on this planet will ever experience love to a point that it goes beyond your physical body. Like, there's just no words that will explain this or do it justice. We could meet in the astral realm. Yes, we've many of us have heard of astral projection, but that's not what this was. It was something much, much higher than that. Like, very fascinating. At some point, I even had an experience where our bodies literally merged in light into one body. So we occupied one light body on the other side. I could tell a lot more about that experience. It was amazing to me. And I still have contact with this person. It's not like we had a nasty breakup and everything, we started hating each other. Not at all. We appreciated that love was, but we just toned it down a lot more, because I'm not going to lie, it became a little difficult for her, especially to function in the real world, because this love was so strong that everything around you was just dull in comparison. And I mean, by dull, I mean incredibly dull. Nothing else was of interest. Have you ever had so much love for somebody that you forgot to eat? And I'm not just talking about skipping breakfast. For days, you had zero thoughts of being hungry or, oh, I haven't eaten. You are thinking about this person, and it generates so much energy. It's an energy that you can live on. Yep, I believe that. I believe we can live without food, and that would be one energy source: love. The sad part is, this sounds again like it has to be love to another person. No, I really mean the energy of love itself. Unconditional love is an energy you could live on. There is such a thing as Breatharianism, where you learn to live of breathing air and extracting the energy out of the air. There is such a thing as sun gazing, where you live trying to use the energy of the sun and get usable substance out of that. I believe all these things are possible. I believe we have been brainwashed into believing our body can only survive on physical foods, vegetables, meat, nuts, you name it. We seem to be brainwashed into that's what we must consume to sustain. I'll tell you actually another inspiration, I guess, where this thought actually started occurring for me, that there must be other substances for us to survive on. It actually happened. I have a huge interest in World War I and II. Not in the war itself. I have more interest in the things that are not spoken about. So, Germany lost, and the rest of the world won. Woohoo. I'm like, who cares? Like, I mean, yeah, we're not all speaking German. That wouldn't be so bad, right? That we all have the same language and there wouldn't be language barriers. Anyway, my point is, what fascinated me about the war also is, if you heard about the people that lived and survived the concentration camps, have you ever noticed that they grew old much healthier than most modern people? We have people now dying in their 40s from obesity, diabetes, tumors, all kinds of things. Our teeth are going bad at a rate so fast that the dentists are becoming rich of us. That wasn't a thing even in the 50s, 1950s. What's changed? Anyway, back to my point. What inspired me to see if there is other life sustaining forces around us? I observed that these people that survived the war, even people that were not in a concentration camp necessarily, they were skin and bones. Like, they hadn't eaten in years, essentially. I'm sure a breadcrumb here and there, quite literally a breadcrumb. There was nothing around to eat during the war. Why? Because we were throwing bombs left and right. You couldn't grow food if you tried. And, you might have, put stuff in ball jars at home and preserve some food, but are you going to live 5 years on that? A war goes for a while. You see what I mean? These people came out of it so emptied out, their bodies had actually gotten rid of all the toxicity. Yes, they were skin and bones and they were probably about to fall over from exhaustion. I'll give it that. I'm not saying you're going to have a Superman style body. No, but these people had a very deep spiritual feeling in life. Yes, the war was devastating, and yes, they felt like they could die any second. That's not what I'm talking about here. These people have thought about death, essentially, about themselves in such a deep way. It seemed to have carried through their whole life. Their body was always ready for starvation. Very strange, but how did these people survive, be so skinny for a few years and be worked to death in most cases and still survive? You could say survival instinct did that, but there is this inner will in us. If that is not there, no survival instinct will help you. Once you give up on your body, lets go of the ghost instantly. You see what I mean? When I saw that and observed that, and these some of these people are still alive today. The people that fought and survived World War II, they're a dying breed, obviously. But notice that these people age much healthier than the current generations. Pay attention to that. What was different for these people? Maybe junk food didn't exist so much for them either, and they ate much healthier. They ate off the land rather than us. How quickly do we run to McDonald's or Burger King or Taco Bell? Like, are you actually eating real food, or are you just eating fabricated crap because somebody is trying to make money off of your health, essentially? Anyway, uh, I'm kind of veering off far from inspiration here, but I'll just point out I even looked into other life sources beyond the ones that we all take for granted. Food. Okay, I wrote down NDEs and astral projection. What is NDEs? It is near death experiences, or as some other people like to call them, near life experiences. I've also spent several thousand hours listening to people that have posted on YouTube or wrote a book about it, people that had near death experiences. Oh my God, if you want to learn to be free, and you're not interested in any books, you just want to hear other people's experiences, I cannot suggest any material more than near death experiences. Now, I'm going to warn you, it's a little bit out there. Again, if you don't believe something survives your physical body, this is probably not for you, but I don't doubt that anymore. I'm beyond convinced. Like, I have a personal conviction nothing about me is ever going to die except what you are seeing on your screen right now. This body will eventually deteriorate, decay in the ground, become part of the earth again. But the thing that is animating this body, the quote unquote me, the soul here, that will live on into eternity. And NDEs make that very, very clear. Each story is unique and different. Don't even focus on how these people almost died. Like either they fell off a rock, their helicopter crashed, a plane crashed, or they wrecked themselves in a car, a motorcycle. Plenty of ways to die on this planet. Like I think there used to be a TV show called 1001 Ways to Die. I mean, some of these things were way out there, but there's something of value in the stories. These people, no matter what their beliefs were before they had their death experience, they came back as completely new people. And I'm not talking like an City thing here. They left their body and now somebody else occupies it. No, they came back with the same soul, but with a profound new knowledge about life, something that they had never seen or understood until they had this eye opening experience. So it inspired me to, again, don't take life for granted. Absolutely do not cage yourself in whatever form of cage, and protect yourself from life, from emotional devastations. Good God, go live. I swear to you, there's so much more than you always being hurt. So you see, that is kind of material that I have absorbed from books, TV shows, and other people stories. The last section that I have as inspirations is YouTube channels. I'm not promoting any channels by any means. I'm just saying I have listened to most of their videos, if not all of them, and I continue to subscribe to them and listen to their videos. I told you guys I drive a truck for UPS. I listen to this while I drive. So when I come home, you're going to see me like a normal person, like everybody else. I mow my lawn, I cook my food, I do my dishes, I vacuum the house, I watch TV and movies like everybody else. Nobody knows really how much time I have spent listening to material that is beneficial. And people are always dumbfounded when I am such a calm, peaceful, kind of person. You know, nothing bothers me anymore. And people always ask me, "How do you do that? That person just yelled at you. How are you so calm? How are you not frustrated?" I'm like, I just accept that that person yelled at me, and I don't need to be devastated by that. I'm still happy inside of myself. That person could not take away my inner happiness. Simple as that. And that's what I'm trying to show all of you guys. There is an inner happiness in all of us. And once you have that, you will never lose it. And that's what we all need to find. We don't need to find a partner to distract us from our unhappiness. No, we need to find ourselves first. I'll give you another what's the word here? Misconsumption that consumption miss Anyway, it's something that we all got wrong. We all say we should lose weight to get healthy. It's actually the other way around. We should get healthy first, change all our bad habits, and then go lose weight. What is the point in eating hamburgers every day and go to the gym to lose weight? How about you just change your diet, and soon enough you might not even need the gym anymore. Your body will finally be in a normal state, the state it's meant to be in. So you see, we sometimes we have the order of things wrong. Why? Because we've all done it that way and we took it for granted and nobody even looked for a different way. Anyway, here are the YouTube channels that I have been listening to. Michael Sandler, Inspired Nation. His channel is mostly channeled material, like he has guests on that channel, and it is also very much about angels, guardian angels, and things like that. So again, if you're not much into these things, that might not be for you. I know all these things exist and I accept them as part of life. And I find Michael Sandler presents it in a very open, humored way. Like it's not heavy material. He keeps the language simple, and I enjoy that. You don't have to make everything difficult. Another channel is Chat, Open Your Reality. That's his channel, Open Your Reality. His name is Chat. I like him because I can feel he is where I was when I was younger. I was looking to the answers to all my inner struggles, like what is life, what is death, how can I make sense of everything, how can I be happy with myself. Chad's channel is good for that. He is also a little bit bigger on the conspiracy things. Maybe conspiracy is a little bit of a strong choice of words here, but you know what I mean. Like his big Chad's big inspiration is a book called My Big Theory of Everything. I forgot who wrote it, and I actually heard that book too. Believe it or not, Michael. Shoot, can't think of it. But anyway, Chat is I enjoy him in a different way. His videos are very short. I actually like videos that are about an hour long. Again, I'm driving, so I can listen for 8 hours straight every day, and I enjoy that. But if you're better off with shorter videos, Chat is good for that. As a matter of fact, Michael Sandler, Inspire Nation, his videos are on average an hour long. So the third one, Ralph Smart, Infinity Waters. Um, Ralph Smart. I don't listen too much to him anymore because he changed the tune of his channel a little bit. I don't want to say for the worse, but it's losing my particular interest. His channel also used to be about helping people finding inner peace. It feels a little more like Ralph is now more focused on all the troubles that are going on in the world. And I know there are troubles in the world, like the war in Ukraine for whatever, or COVID, or our voting and electing system that's going out of whack, has been out of whack for ever since voting existed, if you ask me. But anyway, you see, he's focusing on outer struggles now rather than inner struggles. That's kind of how I see it. But he used to be a very good person to listen to if you were looking for a good guidance, a good way to help yourself become a better person. He was good for that. He still has videos like that, but they're less so than they used to be. Then we have the Kevin Moore Show. His name is Kevin Moore. He is a guy from the UK, and I really enjoy him as well. What is his channel about? He is also a little bit bigger on inviting people on that are channels, mediums, and he is trying to build a website for people that want to communicate with a medium. Like, say you want to get some answers from a passed on relative, you would consult a medium for that or a channel. So Kevin Moore has mostly those kinds of people on. Also, near death experiencers. Some of the stories on there are on the Kevin Moore Show as well. Also, Michael Sandler, Inspire Nation. He will have that too. If you're interested in near death experience stories now. There is one more guy that I listened to in Sedona, and goodness, I can't recall his name at all this very second. I'm also quickly wanting to go in my other YouTube channel and see what his name was. I'm pretty sure his name is Michael also, but it's um what I love about him is he's a very down to earth person. He has a great sense of humor, and his topics that he talks about are things that all of us struggle with, our relations, whatever. But he presents it in a not in a biblical religious form, but you can tell he draws a lot of his inner knowledge from that, or he presents the present world mixed with the religious world in a very humoristic, down to earth, funny way. Like he will even make sexual jokes here and there. I just enjoy that he's just a human person, down to earth, and he can present his material in such a quick way. Like he's very good at bringing his messages across, and I hope I become a speaker like him soon as well. Sorry, I'm scrolling to my phone quick. I know he's in my subscriptions. Oh, come on. Michael Mirdat, that's his name. Michael Mirdat. If you type that in, um, you're gonna find hundreds of videos all in his name, and goodness, they're amazing. I'm actually seeing other stuff in here, like Smarter Every Day with Dustin. He has millions of subscribers, and not that I'm jealous about the subscribers, but he presents essentially his life experience is like he has a very scientific mind. He went to school for science, and a lot of his videos are science based, but nothing complicated. He makes it very simple for you to follow. Like one of his obsessions is photography, so he takes you to the entire process on how photographs are made, how cameras are made, and I find that fascinating. There used to be a channel on the Discovery or History. It was literally called "How It Is Made," how it's made, and I used to like that. But there, it is very impersonable. It's almost like a drone just flies through the whole factory or whatever, and just somebody narrates over it. It's very impersonal. You see what I mean? So yeah, Smarter Every Day. That he's much more. I enjoy that much better. So what else do I have that is on YouTube and in the world? Sat Guru. He is a mystic from India. I enjoy him a lot. I just wish sometimes he would be a little more willing to answer people with deep questions, because that is usually why people go to mystics and yogis. Some of us have thought in great depth about life. Not all of us are shallow thinkers anymore. Like, oh, I wish my partner was a little more loving. Some of us realize it's just us feeling the world, and we come out of this need to always blame others for our inner struggles. And once you come out of that, you are pretty much a new person, and your basis for asking questions is coming from a different angle, and you can hear that in the way people ask questions. And I wish sometimes Sadhguru would be a little bit more willing to open them, because it's almost like they sometimes avoid the deep questions. I personally, that is what I love the most, people with real deep questions. I love them. I mean, I'm an Aquarius and a Pisces, but maybe that's why I love it. I don't know. But intellect is huge for me. So yeah, Sadhguru, he has also a huge movement going on right now. It is called Save Soil. I actually wanted to make a short video on Save Soil just to show that I ate his cause. But he is basically has millions of followers, and they have been planting trees all over India and the world, because he is realizing, I mean, most of us realize, I should say, that we are slowly but surely ruining this planet by being so inconsiderate with our consumerism attitude. Sadhguru is making it an open talk point that we need to change this attitude, and he is focused on safe soil, in the sense that our food and our body comes from soil, and it will return to the soil. He is arguing that we need to take much better care of the dirt, the earth, the soil. We can worry about lots of things, air pollution, ocean pollution, animal pollution, whatever. There's pollution all everywhere we look. We need to do better on all areas, but he is focusing on the one thing that he can work on now with the material that he has. That is the soil. He wants to improve the quality of soil where farmers grow the foods that we consume. I told you guys earlier, the things that we consume make or break our body. The healthier we eat, the better our body functions. And it's a well known fact that the nutritional value of our vegetables is going rapidly downhill, to the point that it won't be really nourishing to our body at all anymore soon. But Sadhguru is an inspiration for the same thing. He has these very thoughtful ways of talking. He also has a very simple humor that I enjoy. I hope to be like Sadhguru too, not necessarily with millions of followers in the real world. Just a voice that is very easy to relate to, very helpful, very loving, very kind. He never raises his voice in anger or frustration. I mean, that's kind of how we think when we think of a yogi. It's someone that's always meditating, quiet, loving, helpful. Sadhguru presents all of these things well, and I love that he also is very open about the Indian culture. I personally have a big interest in the Indian culture. Some part of me has always wanted to live there, but I mean, in this life, I'm in America, and that is fine with me. As a matter of fact, if I ever get a very successful YouTube channel, and I can become financially independent that way, I might buy a sailboat and travel the world, and India is definitely a place I want to see. I want to experience the energy, the culture, the people, the temples, even some of the old teachings there. I would love to sit with a guru and have a silent meditation, one on in front of each other without having to say a single word. Being in each other's presence, a lot of people have no idea how much, for lack of better terms, information travels between the two of you. Not words, not written text, not audio, not visual stimulations. No, just sitting with your eyes closed, you would be baffled how much information comes to your body and leaves your body. It's like two magnetic fields sitting within each other's vicinity. You can feel it if you bring them closer. There's lots of things you can feel. They're repelling, they're attracting. Humans can do similar things. We just believe we need to talk to communicate. Yes, that is helpful. Not everybody is telepathic in abilities, but I am very focused on that. The thing that cannot be said, cannot be seen, cannot be heard. That thing that is our soul, our aura, our energy field, whatever you want to call that. I know it communicates and it receives communication. For most of us, that is just an unconscious thing. And Sadhguru is also one of the people that helped me see that. Um, the raw material and the Set Speaks book, they helped me see that too. So one more person, and this one actually passed on a few years ago. Her name was Dolores Cannon, and actually, I forgot to mention that earlier when I was saying if you may become interested in listening to NDE stories, Dolores Cannon would be an excellent source for you as well, especially if you want to understand life and the purpose of life. What she did was what is known as past life regression. Um, I'm personally, I'm not saying hypnosis is fake, but I have always wanted to try hypnosis because I think I am so conscious now about my surroundings, about myself. I'm not so sure somebody can just talk me into a hypnotic state anymore. And yes, I mean just talking me into it with like looking at a pendulum or by using the ticking of a clock or a flashing light, whatever. I know there is other things you can do for hypnosis, like but you actually take a substance for that. I am purposely staying away from these things for now. I will do these most likely in the future, but I'm thinking future as in towards retirement. I really believe in being conscious. I don't want to have alcohol in my system. I don't want to have weed in my system. Like I want to know that whatever I'm experiencing was quote unquote real. I mean, again, what is real? If you see, hear, and touch and feel all these impulses, if that makes the world real, then you're missing out on a lot. And I get that now. I'm sorry, that was another quote from the Matrix, Morpheus. But here's a person that was definitely not alive during my lifetime. I believe he actually lived during the time of Nikola Tesla, which was around the turn of the 20th century, I think, like around the 1900s. I mean, right around 1900. Edgar Casey. This was a man that seemed to live with one foot in the real world and one foot in the Akashic record. I'm not going to tell you too much about him because, again, it's one of these subjects many people don't even know it's a thing or don't believe it flat out. But Edgar Casey could see the world the way that Neo saw the Matrix in, the green text coming down your screen. If you ever saw that movie or even a picture, he could see the code in its original form. If you have a tumor or a cancer, at best you're gonna feel a pain or whatever, or a swelling. You're gonna see a visual swelling. Edgar Casey was not only able to tell you how to heal yourself from this, and he never said, "Oh yeah, go take chemotherapy." No, he would point out a very few specific foods that grow in the garden somewhere to alleviate this tumor, this cancer, whatever disease you had. He could see it as it was in its original text. I'm talking about the Green Matrix cut, right? The original text decoding of life. And he could tell why you got this disease in the first place. In a lot of cases, it was something you brought with you from a previous life, something subconscious. You're not even aware of it, and it manifests itself in this life as a disease, cancer, tumor, whatever. Or you're born blind, you're born deaf. Like in my case, I am born 50% deaf in both my ears. So my whole life, hearing people was very difficult for me. It still is. It's always going to be. As we age, our hearing goes downhill. For me, it's the same. But where most people start with 100% hearing and it goes towards, I don't know, 70 or 60, mine started at 50, and I might become all the way down to 20% hearing left when I get older. I don't know. But who's to say? I never was dropped as a baby for all I care. I don't know, but I was born this way. I don't know if I brought this from a previous life. I don't really care. I just learned to live with that. And instead of hating it, now I'm realized I don't hear the words people are saying. I hear the emotions that they are not saying. Very hard to explain, but I feel people's emotions either through the tone of their voice, and that's something most of us can relate to. When you hear an angry person, it's very quick to pick that up. They talk very aggressive and louder and growlier. But even if your tone is very monotonous, like my voice, I'd like to think it's very monotonous too, is because I don't experience these emotional ups and downs as much anymore that like most people do. So my emotional state is a very relaxed, smooth line overall. Anyway, I already forgot where I was going with that whole thing, but um yeah, Edgar Casey, he could just see the world as it was. And funny enough, he never wrote a book. He never made a audio recording or nothing. I mean, mind you, this is 1900. Like that stuff barely existed back then. But a lot of it was written on paper, and now it is coming out in. There is actually a place called the Edgar Casey Institute, I believe. So that is how I know about him. I just found it mind blowing how he could access the Matrix, the code of life, the Akashic record, whatever you want to call that. Like that just blew my mind. That it just showed me that there is so much more than meets our eye. We see another person in front of them, but we don't really see their essence, their soul, their aura. There are a few people nowadays that can do that just by using their normal vision. But you see what I mean? This guy could literally tell you every detail about your current life and all the lives you had lived before and some from the future too. Like, how unreal does that sound, right? One more is Robert Monroe. And I just wrote down Robert Monroe, and I can't really recall now what he did, but I believe he induced out of body states like astral traveling by using binaural tones, binaural beats. Robert Monroe, he had a radio station and had lots of amplifiers and all that stuff in his house back when he was a younger person. And one day things malfunctioned apparently, and he had an out of body experience. I don't recall much of the details, but he was mind blown by that, and he tried to duplicate that and eventually achieved it. And he came up with what is now known as binaural tones, binaural beats. It is essentially a sound that is designed to bridge the gap between our left and right hemisphere so they can learn to work in unison, so you can reach higher states of consciousness. I have listened to these tones for a little bit. Like I said, I listened to tens of thousands of hours of all sorts of materials, and this didn't go unnoticed by me either. But like I said, at age 25, for me, the world quickly shifted. My perspective on the world quickly shifted, I should say. And although I never really sat down in the lotus position to meditate, I realized that my life itself was a meditation on its own. I no longer judged the world by what I saw, what I didn't like, what I did like. I learned to accept everything that I observed with any of my senses, whether I liked it or didn't like it, didn't matter. I saw everything as neutral for the first time in my life. I no longer saw it. This is nice. This is bad. This sucks. This is great. More of this, less of that. I'm here, and whatever I encounter, I encounter. No more need for labels. No more need for that was great, that was bad. Enjoy it wherever you go and whatever happens around to find a way to enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, don't take anything personal that is happening around you. Just be there, experience it, and when it's over, walk away and let it go. Don't come home with a bunch of drama on your mind or a bunch of negative imprints. Let it go. It's like if you passed a tree on the street. You don't care about the tree. You observe it for a second. Wow, beautiful. Now walk away and you're not even thinking about the tree. It's similar to that with our life experiences. Don't get stuck with them in you. Let them go the moment they're over. So, anyway, those are all inspirations that I had throughout my life that all helped me become me. I picked up things that I saw other people do. I'm like, wow, I love the energy that person has. I love the humor that person puts out. I love the way that person lives their life. So I pick bits and pieces from everywhere, anywhere. And now I am 38. And guess what? Who is my biggest inspiration now? This is going to sound like an Aquarius statement, okay? But I am now my biggest inspiration. I'm not kidding. I'm a little bit like Jim Carrey in the movie Yes Man. I will say yes to any life experience that's about to happen, has happened, may happen, will never happen. I'm I have this say yes feeling to everything. Like nothing will devastate me ever again because I found myself. It's as simple as that. All these inspirations, as I said at the beginning of the video, whatever you run into, if you see something that you think could better your life, make you more efficient, would make you feel less devastated all the time, less emotional, do something with that. Don't just blow it off as like that was insignificant. No, go home in silence. Think a minute about what you just felt today, observed today, saw today. If there is something there that you can use, use it. Simple as that. That is what inspiration is. So, boink, here we go. Another 1 hour video. I really enjoyed this. Inspirations are amazing. And I have this feeling I left out many names, many things that inspired me. I've had life experiences for myself that I didn't even mention that have are an inspiration in their own right to me. And I'm sure I will bring them up in future videos. But it just goes to show there are so many now. I found me, and that's what matters for me now. And my videos are mostly about helping you, the viewer, find yourself too. There is nothing more amazing than knowing where you are and knowing you never need anybody else again. You can just enjoy other people now instead of needing them, suffocating them, you know, caging them. That's what I'm talking about. So, guys, please subscribe. Please comment in the videos if there are topics that you would love to hear something about or learn about or want to hear me speak about. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers for now. Any subscription would help me greatly. So, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next video.